Hello there. Liz Truss has been trying to push through tax cuts for months. In September, the Prime Minister promised the population the biggest tax cut in 50 years. But that's not the case now. After massive resistance, Truss cancelled her plans without further ado. However, she did not communicate this personally, but sent her new Chancellor of the Exchequer, Jeremy Hunt, ahead. Truss fired his predecessor on Friday because he wanted to do exactly what the Prime Minister had promised for so long. By now, at the latest, it was clear to everyone in Great Britain. Anyone who orders a tour from Truss will get botched instead. It's another strange low point in British politics since the people voted in favour of Brexit in 2016. What is Britain supposed to do with a Prime Minister who is unable to keep her central item on the agenda? It's not just political observers who are now asking themselves. With a 180-degree U-turn, Truss is now a zombie Prime Minister, writes the Daily Telegraph. Still in office, but no longer in power. Viewed soberly, the U-turn was correct. Truss had already thrown the financial market into chaos when she announced the tax cuts. Mind you, without any reasonable counter-financing. Experts had been warning of this for weeks, but the Prime Minister played deaf and always said growth, growth, growth. That was her credo in view of the severe recession that Britain is facing. The origin of this in turn also lies in Brexit. Sure, whether with or without the EU, in Great Britain too, the Ukraine war played a huge part in the fact that the prices for food, gas and electricity there are skyrocketing. But the exit campaign from the EU laid the foundation for the Conservative Tories to deliberately lose sight of reality and continue to deceive the people with new untruths. It started with a certain Boris Johnson driving around his homeland in a red bus in 2016, trumpeting that Britain was paying the EU £350 million every week. Even then, experts pointed out that it was an outright lie. Nevertheless, it became the modus operandi of the ruling Conservatives, because the untruths brought Johnson to power, and many Brexit-friendly media gladly ignored it. Johnson later changed his statements by continuing to lie. In fact, the duties to the EU were even higher. In reality, they were significantly lower. Liz Truss acts in a similar way. She too catapulted herself to 10 Downing Street with false tax promises that never stood up to closer scrutiny. But after 6 years in the sea of lies, even the Brexiteers seem to be plundering. Maybe I'll even vote for Labour now, said a desperate Tory MP recently. A Tory MP. In other European countries, leaving the EU has long since become a bogus giant, even among the toughest EU enemies. Marine Le Pen in France, Giorgia Meloni in Italy, or Jimmy Åkesson in Sweden. The closer the right-wing extremists come to power, the less interest they seem in actually leaving the EU. Brexit has made it clear to everyone what is at stake. Only the British politicians seem to be the last to notice. Liz Truss and her party could now do one last service to their people by finally clearing the way for new elections and not hoisting another politician from their ranks into office or even bringing Boris Johnson back. By all polls, the Tories would lose at the polls with a bang. After 6 years of wandering, they more than deserve it. But it would be a chance to rescue the party as well. And for heaven's sake, to rescue this country. And I'll see you in my next video. I'll be back.